Hi, it's Nathaniel Whiston here, and welcome to another episode of Mysteries of West Anglia. Today I'm travelling to the village of Orlingbury. It's to the west of Findon, to the south of Kettering, and to the east of Hannington. It's in central Northamptonshire, and it's in West Anglia. Today's mystery of West Anglia is about the figure of Jock of Badsaddle, famous for killing with his own bare hands the last wolf in England. After emerging the victor from his fistfight with the lupine beast, he had a drink of icy cold water and immediately dropped dead. This all happened in Badsaddle Wood, just outside of Orlingbury, where Jock used to live. I'm going to go to the village, have a look around there, and then head to the site of that fight in Badsaddle Wood. For those interested in my rock opera, I've been making progress there. I've been reaching out to local businesses, trying to get them to invest. That's really what I need, some investment now. I've also begun casting. That's not gone so well, actually. The ones who can act can't sing, and the ones who can sing can't act. There's a real lack of talent. And I'll say it now, if this rock opera fails, then you can blame it squarely on the cast, because they're not very good. I'm in traffic at the Black Cat roundabout once again. I'm always stuck here. The details of this mystery have become cloudy over time. There's debate over whether he was called Jack or Jock of Badsaddle. This happened in 1375, and yet there's people later than that claiming that they killed the last wolf in Cheshire and Kent, and also in Blackburn, Lancashire, and in Derbyshire region, the Peak District. There were also said to be wolves running around in the 15th century. Who do you believe? Well, I believe the Jock of Badsaddle story. That's because there's an effigy of him in St Mary's Church in Orlingbury, and you wouldn't build an effigy of someone if what they did was all made up. So it must be true. This is the definitive story of the last wolf being killed in England. If not England, then at least West Anglia. I gave Jeremy a copy of the script of my rock opera. I thought he'd be interested in reading it. Incidentally, Jeremy can't be here today because he's going to an antenatal class. What he has to do there, I've got no idea. Anyway, I was driving past his house the other night, so I popped in, but he wasn't there, it was just Liz. And I said to her, do you know if Jeremy's read my script yet? She said, no, I don't think he has. But if you want my advice, and I didn't, but there was no time to say no, she said you might want to change the title. I said, The Living Sea of Waking Dreams, what's wrong with that? She said it's a bit pretentious, and then she slammed the door in my face. It's not my fault she doesn't get the reference. It's a line from a poem by John Clare, a West Anglian poet, and she doesn't get the reference, so she's calling me pretentious. What a Philistine. How thick can you get? I can park here. And we're here. We're in Orlingbury. I'm here at St Mary's Church in Orlingbury, and I would go inside and show you the effigy of Jock of Badsaddle, but it's locked. You're going to have to take my word for it. Or go online yourself and have a look, but there is an effigy of the man himself behind those doors. Just a shame I can't get in to see it. Can you imagine a wolf running around here? Must have been mayhem. Picture the scene. Orlingbury, 1375. All the villagers are in the tavern and they're complaining about the wolf. It's been eating their livestock, making them afraid to go out, generally making their lives a misery. Jock of Badsaddle is in the tavern and he's had a few drinks. He stands up and says, "I'm going to kill that wolf." Everybody cheers, they all buy him a drink. Jock is really popular that night. Finally, Orlingbury has a hero who's going to save them from the wolf. This is the only pub in the village, so this must be the tavern. Now I'm driving to Badsaddle Wood, the location of this fight to the death between Jock and the wolf. Over there in the distance, that is Badsaddle Wood. Jock woke up the next morning feeling a little worse for wear. Slowly, his promise from the night before came back to him. He had to go and kill the wolf in Badsaddle Wood. He got out of bed, summoned up the courage, walked from Orlingbury over there, all the way up this path to Badsaddle Wood with nothing but his bare hands, looking for the wolf. There is scant information about Jock of Badsaddle. What about the time he lived in? 1375. The 100 Years' War was in its 38th year, but that was mainly happening in France. The Hirinji Temple was built in Tokyo in Japan, and the Mamluks of Egypt completed their conquest of the Kingdom of Cilicia, which is now Armenia. So nothing of note in Northamptonshire, West Anglia, not a problem. That only adds to the mystery of those times. It's a long walk from Orlingbury to Badsaddle Wood. Jock must have been cream crackered by the time he got here. The nerves, the tension, the fear. He couldn't go back to the village without killing the wolf, otherwise everyone would laugh at him. He'd be humiliated. Thankfully I can do the same walk today and not be afraid of running into a wolf, because Jock killed the last one. Wolves are very sociable animals that hunt in packs, so it was very odd for there to be one left. This must be a wolf with a great knack for survival. It's not like your wolves nowadays living in pampered luxury, no. This was a 14th century West Anglian wolf. Trying to get into Badsaddle Wood, but as you can see there's a lot of nettles and there's a big gate there as well, which is making it very difficult. Down here you can see the remains of the stream where Jock took his fatal sip of water. Let's be honest, Jock did not deal with the wolf in the most humane way. A bloody fight to the death is often not the best way to resolve a situation. But we have to remember, Jock was likely still drunk at the time. And we've all done something daft while drunk, haven't we? Stealing traffic cones, starting fight with policemen. I once climbed on top of a bus shelter. Bearing that in mind, we have to show some leniency to Jock's behaviour that day. I followed the path round, but it's no easier to get into Badsaddle Wood. I'm afraid this is as close as I'm going to get to it today. Jock arrived at the wood and began looking for the wolf's den. Soon enough he found it. The wolf was sleeping, and Jock decided that was the time to attack. The wolf woke up suddenly and the two began trading blows, rolling all over the ground, trying to get the advantage. Jock punched, the wolf clawed. Jock kicked, the wolf bit. The wolf got the upper hand. He had Jock pinned to the floor and he was about to rip through his throat when all of a sudden Jock, with his last ounce of strength, threw a punch into the air which connected with the wolf's head, knocking it from his shoulders. He looked down at the mess, at the damage, at what he'd done. Jock had killed the wolf. He was the wolf killer. The exertions of the fight had taken its toll on him, and he looked for a nearby stream for water. He crouched down, cupped the water in his hands and had a drink. He did it again and again and again. When he stood up, he realised something was wrong. All of the water he had just drunk began to pour out of the holes in his body which the wolf had clawed into him. He looked down and died. There was Jock, dead on the floor next to the wolf. also dead. Of course, you can't go around killing wolves with your bare hands like Jock did, but in those days it was a form of adrenaline sport. What can be more challenging than trying to wring the life out of a savage beast? Today people do marathons and assault courses, but in those days if you wanted a real physical challenge, wrestling a wolf was the way to go. I'd love to do an open air performance of my rock opera in a place like this. Of course, parking would be a problem, and there's always a chance of rain. Plus it's not the easiest place to find on a map, but apart from that it'd be great. Now I'm not sure if this is the wood or this is the wood. There's two woods very close to each other. I think this could be it. Wolves used to run riot in Britain. The Norman kings like William the Conqueror and the rest of them decided to put a stop to that. For the next 300 years they paid out rewards for killing wolves. They were sick and tired of them attacking their sheep and desecrating their graves. Wolves don't have much respect for the dead, or the living, especially if you're a sheep. I'm sure in the back of Jock of Badsaddle's mind he was thinking of the groats he'd be able to tap up from the king. Not that there was much to spend your money on in those days. I do feel sorry for the wolf. It was a wild animal trying to survive. That's why it killed sheep, that's why it caused havoc. But then I guess Jock was another wild animal and he had to do what he had to do to survive, and that involved killing a wolf. I suppose in that case it's fair that it ended up a draw and they both died. I think the biggest mystery of this episode is not whether or not Jock of Badsaddle killed the last wolf in England, but whether he's considered a hero or a villain. He's a hero if you don't like sheep being murdered or you like going for walks in the woods, but he's a villain if you don't like to see animals get brutally killed or you believe in animal protection. I'm not going to sit on the fence, but I'd say he's both. Have we learnt anything from today? Don't get into a fight with a wolf because you'll both end up dead. Don't make rash promises while drunk. Who knows how long it took for the villagers to come out to Badsaddle Wood themselves to see what had happened. They would have been very sad to see Jock dead, but absolutely delighted to see the wolf dead. Swings and roundabouts. I'm heading home now. I've got a meeting this evening with some of the cast of the Living Sea of Waking Dreams, hoping to motivate them and find an ounce of talent within them. I'm also the director of the rock opera, writer, director. Something I've learned from doing these West Anglian series is if you want something doing, you may as well do it yourself. That was the mystery of Jock the Wolf Killer. Who was Jock of Badsaddle? Why was there only one wolf left in England? Why was that wolf in West Anglia? There's been a lot of mysteries today, some we've solved and some we haven't. I'm Nathaniel Whiston and I'll see you again next time for more mysteries of West Anglia. Goodbye.